What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a live show, improvised live show, as you will probably notice during the stream. Apologies for that. But we're going to talk about Spalletti having improved Juve after 3 games in charge. I think it is. Maybe not points-wise, but stats-wise. I have a few numbers I want to throw towards your direction, and then we will discuss if it's actually improving, yes or no. We're going to talk about what Comolli had to say, because the first time I translated it, I was like, okay, but it was 1 a.m. in the morning. The second time I read it this morning, I was like, wow, crazy. So that's what we're going to talk about as well. And then maybe a little look ahead towards next week, because next week, this time, we would have played Fiorentina, and we might be the first team handing them a win, yes or no. But first off, guys, how are you doing today?
All is good, nothing special.
Yeah, everything's going well. Excited to be part again of this group, so let's go for it.
Yeah, excited. Actually, it's been a very a very slow international break already. It's 1 week, but it's been a very long week for some reason. It's not really moving that fast. I only today learned that. Couldn't believe it. So Italy, they need to play qualifiers, and I thought it was one game. Actually, there's a semifinal, and then there's an extra game. Wow, which means we're going to lose more players to that international break, depending on injuries. It might be 2, might be 1, it might be 3. Who knows? Might be 4 at that point. So that's kind of a bummer. Thuram leaving to sit on the bench at the French squad, bummer as well. It would be much better if he would be at the Continassa recovery and training with Spalletti. So that's kind of a down point on the international break. Other than that, not really much to discuss. But the numbers I want to use. So I posted a few yesterday. Let me bring them up. I have a few others as well ready. Let me bring up the screen really quickly for you guys. Here we go. So I posted up a couple of numbers yesterday, but I have a few others. So the question is if we actually did improve, yes or no. I don't know if you guys can see it now. You should be able to see it now.
Now, I think. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
So these are a few stats. I have a few more, but as you can see, this basically compared Tudor to Spalletti in the first few games. So the duels one, again, I know the sample size is maybe not fair. It's 3 games compared to 20 plus games, I guess. So is it really fair? No, but the question will be, does the eye test back up a few of these things? So the first thing is duels one. That went up 28%. Vertical passes, for example, went up quite an amount. I would say it went up 20% as well. And then shots on target, I thought this one was interesting because it's per game, like average. Under Tudor, we have 5 shots on target, but we almost conceded 5 as well, so 4.3. With Spalletti, we almost have 7 on target, and we only conceded 2. Now, I get it. The sample size, actually, you can flip it. The sample size, 3 games. If you conceded 8 shots, it would also be a high number, if that makes sense. And 8 shots over 3 games, it's not that much. So over 3 games, conceding 2 shots really on target, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, So those are a few. We will discuss them, and then I'll read out a couple of more. But what do you think, Norbert? Is it too early to suggest that? Because I know people will counter this by saying, "Oh, the points are not really there," and agreed, the points are not there. It's one win and it's 2 draws. So that's that. But can you see early on with your eye test that, yeah, it backs up some of these numbers?
Yeah, I think so. It's already better than what Tudor did. And Spalletti only here for a few weeks, really, a few practices. So yeah, I think it's a really good start, but we need to build on this because we still have the same issues that we had under Motta. That we have the ball, we attacking, but we can't really score much. That needs to change. But yeah, these stats are definitely a good start, and then if we build on this and we continue progressing with this, then it can be really good. And some yeah, the vertical passes you can see clearly. That's very visible. And yeah, I just want to see us how we play like a few weeks from now, or even a few months from now, because yeah, as I said, this is a good start.
You could speak to it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I agree with Norby. I think it's obvious that we have improved a bit. I think it's more organized. We we play more organized. We attack more organized. We are more organized defensively. So that's good because like previously it was a bit more like chaos ball. So I like that, and it's certainly promising. But as Norby said, it's we have the same problem as Mota. Like we really need to score. And we need to find ways to break this down because every team will be like, yeah, it's easy to play us, and just sit deep and yeah, let's see. So yeah, we certainly need to improve that, and I want to see that in the Fiorentina game because I think Fiorentina will play very tough. They are like I think they are last in the table right now, so I think they're not going to do us any favors. So I want to see something there. Like I need to see goals. So we need to play a perfect game when we come back, even if it's really difficult right now because we have players in the international break, and Spalletti is not really coaching anyone right now. Like he has like a few players, so yeah, but I think we really need to start again and start powerful to to grow some confidence and get some results.
The other stat I want to bring up, I don't have it on the screen, so I'll read it out. The ball, the possession or the amounts of time that we won the ball back, or not won the ball back, like won the ball back in terms of even if it gets kicked away, excuse me, because of pressing, etc. That also includes winning the ball back. That went up almost 20%. As well. So that includes forcing other teams, kicking it long and you recover it. That's one stat I also wanted to bring up. 22% went up in terms of the passes during a game. Again, is that important if you pass around at the back? Maybe not so much, but that's that one. What I do want to bring up is useful plays in the final third. And what useful plays, according to Gazzetta dello Sport, means, by the way, is having more than 3 passes in and around the box and includes the final pass should be entering the box, if that makes sense. Now, maybe it sounds complicated. That went up almost 50%. That went up 50%. So again, for example, did we, like against Sporting, second half, we had the ball in and around the box, but we didn't really do anything with it, in my opinion, or not enough. The last home game against Torino, same second half, the second part of the second half, we were in and around the box, but we didn't do much with it, So those are parts of the game. I thought with Tudor, it was large amounts of the game where, yeah, we have maybe possession. Mota, for example, we had possession in the box, around the box, excuse me, but never really in it. It was like we were camping outside the opponent's box, but we had no real idea how to break them down. Not saying that we have an idea right now, but based on numbers, early numbers, there is at least an attempt. I will describe it like that. There's at least an attempt to make sure that we can enter the box in some sort of way, or we actually try to enter the box. Now, the question is, do you think after this break, so Fiorentina Saturday, the starting lineup, I don't need names, by the way. Do you think we will come with something completely new in terms of formation-wise, switching it up a little bit? Because now Spalletti has maybe 2 weeks of times. Yes, players, the entire front line is gone. Vlahovic was not there. Openda's gone. Segrova's gone. Jonathan David left. Yildiz, everyone left. Conceição left. So, he didn't have a chance to work with those guys, for example. But still, on Saturday, do you think we will see something new based on what Spalletti believes this is what this team needs to actually convert the good things we're trying to do, pressing, playing vertically, into, goals? Because that's what we're missing right now, just goals.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with anything new when your front line is gone and some other players as well on international duty. So I don't believe he can do much during the break. I don't even know who left, who is important. So I think it's going to be really hard for him.
Left.
Yeah. So I don't think he can come up with anything new. I think it will take some time. I think he will still go relatively safe. He will not try anything new. I don't believe so. But maybe he still have time. Even with those guys who are returning to tell them some new stuff. But I think it's going to be hard for him now. It will be a different story if the players stay and it's just a 2 weeks break, but that's not how it works. Thank you, FIFA. So yeah, I don't believe any. I don't think we're gonna see too much new things, to be honest. Too many new things.
Yeah, I agree
What do
with
you
that.
think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he might change some personnel, like for example, he has Mirelli now fit. He's training with him, he's coaching him for 2 weeks now. I think it will be 2 weeks. So let's see. Maybe it's a chance. Let's see if he can take his chance. Maybe he's try something new. Maybe he plays him. Because he was there. He was trained. He saw what Spalletti wants to do. So maybe he tries that out. So yeah, let's see. I don't know, but system-wise, I don't think he will change much, to be honest.
Now, I do believe he's going to change something. Even if his players are not there right now, his front line that's not there, I think he's going to change something. I do. Also because what he expects from his wingers, I think a lot, I don't think it's that difficult to understand what he wants from his wingers. I think it would all depend on what happens from that midfield as well. The runs and etc. Now he has those players available, not Thuram because he left, for example. But I do think he's going to change something. I do. You have 2 weeks, even if you don't have these players available, the idea you want to implement, I think you're just going to do it throughout games. Because if he's not going to do it now, for example, then okay, the players come back Thursday, maybe. You have one training session, not much you can do. Okay, Sunday, cool down training. On the pitch, you're not going to do much. Then it's, I think, Bodo Glimt, right? Not much you can do. Again, you're just at one point, because there's so many games, if he doesn't just pull the trigger and he's like, okay, we're just going to figure it out on the pitch, it's the end of December and you're still, trying to play with what Tudor tried to do, because right now he admitted, I didn't want to change too much because Tudor had an idea and even though we might disagree as a fan base, it was a decent idea. He basically said, well drilled coach, etc. So I'm just gonna tweak a few things, and then we will go from there. But he can tweak a few things until January, and then it's completely too late. So I do think he's going to change something going into that game against Fiorentina. Formation wise, personnel wise, I don't know. Probably not. Especially up front, if everyone returns fit, it's going to be Yildiz Vlahovic and Conceição most likely. That's just going to happen. And then that midfield, I think that's where we will see changes in that back line, because everyone stayed, right? Kalulu's there, Gatti is there, Kelly is there, Cambiaso left, okay. Bremer, okay, is there, whatever, And then midfield, Koopmeiner's there, McKennie, Miretti didn't go with under 21s, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, Adzic left, fine. Adzic left, but other than that, they all kind of stayed. And the players who left, Locatelli, okay, he left, but I don't think, okay, he's not his main guy, or he's not his cup of tea, but I don't think you need to explain Locatelli certain things in the position he plays where it's like, oh my God, he's not here, so I cannot test things out. I do think he needs to explain McKennie things, Koopmeiners things. Let's say Kelly is back at that point, or Bremer and Kelly are back at that point, Koopmeier is not going to play center back anymore. So maybe that's a thing that we can see very soon, because apparently Kelly is back in training almost. Maybe not for Fiorentina, but still, it's around the court. A question, I will ask you guys a question. Let's say Kelly is back and Bremer. I think a lot of people are saying just keep playing Koopmeiners there. I don't think that's the best of ideas, even though he's playing well there right now. Cremonese didn't really cause us any trouble until that Vardy moment, in my opinion. Torino didn't cause us any trouble besides that, Thuram threw ball to whoever that was, just by some bad luck, whatever. He did well, but I don't think he got really, really tested, in my opinion. And I think the moment he gets tested, you will start to ask for just Kelly out there. And I know we played that as that, but he played center back or defender 50 games. I'm being nice. Kelly and Bremer, etc., played center back their entire life. So at that point, I'm like, just play the natural center backs, and you cost 60 million. Just be good at midfield for once. Help us out in midfield, because that's where we need help. But will you guys still play him even if Kelly is back?
So what we understand is that he wants to switch to a four-man back. And he wants to use Koopmeiners in the midfield. And even if he doesn't change to a four-man back, I think as soon as Kelly back, Koopmeiners is gone from the defense. I think. Well, if he hates Gatti, then maybe Koopmeiners stays in the defense. That would be interesting to see. But other than that, I can't imagine that he continues with Koopmeiners in the back.
If we play a back four, who's going to be the back four?
Well, unfortunately, right now it's Kelly and Gatti in the middle, I think.
No, okay, everyone is fit.
Oh,
Kelly Bremer.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
No.
Gatti Bremer.
I think Kalulu and Bremer will play in the middle. And I think he will play Cambiaso on the right, and I think on the left he will probably test out Cabal if it works out, or he will probably play Kelly or Meyer.
Okay. I think that's the first time I see some, but you can be. I don't think he's going to play Kalulu on that side. The way Tudor was using it. I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah.
So I see that point, but it never really crossed my mind. If I don't know. That's actually going to be interesting. that is going to be interesting. The Cabal thing, I'm like, yeah, when you're fit, but I'm not counting on you at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even keeping him in the back of my mind. Oh, he's there. He can no. Like, if you can stay fit for a month or two, then maybe I will have a discussion. Because the only time I saw you this season, you were getting smoked. Or the second time I saw you, got actually like it was actually sad to witness. Unfortunately, he got injured, but he was absolutely it's like, what are you actually watching? So I'm not really keeping him in the back of my mind, to be honest. But you could be right that it could be Cabal, that it could be Kalulu. Anyways, let's move on to the second part of the show, and that is Comolli, because he spoke. He said some things that, well, they sound. I don't know. They sound normal, I would say, at 1 a.m. They sound crazy when you wake up. When you wake up and you read them again, you're like, did I really rap, that? So I was like, you know what? I actually opened Twitter and I was like, let me see the tweet I put out, when it came to Comolli. And then when I read them all, I was like, you know what? Maybe I messed up the translation. Let me go back to the Italian article to make sure that I didn't mess up the translation. And I didn't mess up the translation. So one of the first things he said that coaches show up and say everything is fine. They say, then they start and everything goes badly. That's why I put their words into the contract. I remind them what they had said. I hope he's joking. I don't hope like that Spalletti's lawyer comes over with the contract the day before and they read it and it's like, oh, by the way, the next 20 pages is your conversation with Comolli, by the way, typed out, which is funny. Like, when he said that, I went back to those old school films, where there's a courtroom and there's like a woman typing every single word out there, in the corner, I was like, or at the Continassa headquarters, somebody in the corner just typing everything Spalletti was saying, but that's one approach, I would say. Does anyone believe that quote to be that? Like, do you believe he actually does that? Obviously, not word for word, not the 2-hour conversation, but for example, Spalletti told Comolli, I'm going to make top 4 because I'm going to play that way. I want to do this, and that with that player. And then 2 months from now, he goes into the locker room and he's like, buddy, you told me we're going to play attacking football. You told me, I'm just making this up, that Cambiasso was going to slot in midfield, and etc., all those things. And I'm not seeing this. So what are we going to do about it? Do you believe that's actually the case, Norbert? Do you think he's actually capable of doing that?
Yeah, I would have loved to see like an actual footage of this when he's saying this, so you can see his face. But how it's written here, it's to me it looks like he meant it. Like he actually did it. It would be funny. Imagine. Yeah, for now I believe it, and I don't know. He looks like a serious guy, so we should ask some ex Toulouse coaches. But yeah, I think he did it, and it's crazy.
You can go, Spiros. I don't.
No, okay. I think in completely different way. I think he's like, okay, we get a coach, and the coach says like, okay, I believe in the squad. I think the squad is good, and I think we can do a good job. Okay, and then if the coach comes like in the office, like in 1 week, in 1 month, in 2 months, and says, this squad is garbage, I cannot do anything with this. I think this is what he means. It's like, but you said when we signed you that you can do it and you believe in the squad. Like, I think this is what he means. Not like, okay, I'm going to play like this way and we're going to make top 4. I think he means like, okay, I came in and I believe in this, and I think I can do a good job. I think this is like his mindset, what he's trying to say about the coaches.
That's where maybe this part comes in. He says in an interview, I say, this is how we work. These are the process, data, guides player selection, injury prevention, and much more. If you're fine with that, great. Otherwise, we shake hands. The coach must fully embrace this philosophy. I don't disagree with that. We will talk about data in the next comments he said, because actually then I'm going to say 10-minute interview, 8-minute was about data, by the way. But also because he got asked about data. Like every single question was about data, But I do agree with this one, if you interview for a job and your boss is like, okay, over here for some reason we don't use Word, or Excel. It's all on a piece of paper because we don't trust Word and Excel. You can say, like, it's very simple. You can say no. I'm not going to write everything down. I'm going to use Excel or Word. Then the boss can easily say, well, then you're not going to work here because that's not how we work. So again, that's good. Like this is not about using data, etc., to prevent injuries, to select players is the way to go. This is about, as a coach, do you agree with the fact that we will probably select players? Like, for example, you want, I don't know, you want Lobotka, we have another option, and data shows, and I'm just making this up, that injury wise, Lobotka, because of age, etc., will pick up more injuries, over the length of his 3-year contracts, just by nature, body breaking down, etc., compared to option B. So we're not going to invest on Lobotka. We're going to go for option B, who maybe is not Lobotka, and again, he's not a Serie C level player, but still a very good player. As a coach, you probably need to agree with that. Otherwise, you're not going to be part of the squad. That's how I view it, and I have no issue with that statement, because for me that makes more sense to tell that at the start of the talks. This is how we work. You agree, fine. You don't agree, then we probably need to move on. Otherwise, what is the point?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And we know that he's really into data, and I'm pretty sure he explained this to Spalletti really well. That, listen, my dude, we like data here, and if you see a guy that is you don't like, or you don't like that much, but the data backs it up, then we're gonna sign that dude potentially.
Yeah, I think it's not a problem like wanting to work with data, but I think you need to have the people around you that actually believe in this project, and also the coach and everyone, the staff. So, and this is the difficult part, because in Italy, I think there is a little bit of an old mindset. So it's like, okay, I didn't watch this player, so I don't know this player. I need to watch him play. Like Allegri said, for example, I want to watch the player play. Maybe go to the stadium at Parma and watch Leone play, for example. You know what I mean? Like I think this kind of coaches don't really trust the data. They don't know about this stuff. So I think you need to have an international profile, someone who has worked in the club, that has worked with people that use data before. For example, like Jurgen Klopp, for example. So, but that's not happening. Well, just from a name out there. So yeah, I think that's the most important part. If Spalletti wants to work like this and he's fine with this and he can actually make it work, I think everyone is happy and we can continue together.
I think, like, you made a good point. Like, maybe the younger coaches will be like, yeah, fine, but the older ones, like a Spalletti or like an Allegri, okay, in this case, probably Spalletti, no, or he desperately wanted a job, and he just lied, flat out lied to Comolli. But for like younger type of players, I think it makes more sense that they are like, you know what? Yeah, I don't care about that. If If you can bring me the players based on data, I'm fine with that. But I can see a coach like Allegri saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to see the player. I want to see him play. I want to see how he moves, etc. So I don't know. It's a very interesting one, I would say. I think it's a very interesting one to look at. But that's not the crazy part. He said. I will skip this one for now. Okay, no, he said, I asked Matuidi and Trezeguet, just to name a couple, what Juve's DNA is. The answer was always the same thing, winning. And then he actually said, winning is not really a culture. The word winning, he said, culture is built from the bottom up. We had a big meeting this morning to understand what our culture really is. I told everyone, you decide who we are. I can provide some guidelines, but culture is determined from the bottom. Culture is a club values. Now, I do agree with that. Like, the culture of the club comes from the top. I do find it weird that they only discuss it now in November. They were like, actually, we forgot to talk. What is actually, now that I signed and I'm the CEO, what is actually the culture of the club? So that's kind of a weird situation, I would say. No, in this case, in this scenario, he's right. We talked about it, winning, adding players, new coaches. If the top is not aligned, if the top is not, in check with the belief, etc., then what is really the point, right?
Yeah, and it's indeed really weird. And who was at this meeting? Like, because he said, I told everyone, you decide who we are. So it's like the entire club, or like all the workers, everyone? I don't get it.
The way I saw it, or the way I see it, he became CEO basically. Because keep in mind, he was not brought in to be the CEO. Like, he got a promotion already, basically. He got a promotion, based on whatever, And I think now that he's okay, to put it in simple words, he's in charge of the club. He's not in charge, Alcon is in charge, but he's in charge of the club right now. Day to day, maybe he needs to talk to Alcon once a month, or Alcon will check in once a month, but he is in full control of the club right now. And that was not the case when he was brought in three months ago or 4 months ago. That was not the case. Right now, he's in full control of the club. He is. So maybe it's to his new board, I guess, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
He has more say right now. Like, he's the guy, so he has more say. Like, he makes the tough decisions, so he needs to speak with the others. He needs to be like, okay, this is how we're going to work. This is how I'm thinking, and I want everyone like to follow me. Like, I think this is kind of the message.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think that's why, and that's what he meant by that. Now, going to the data, and that's where it got spooky, in my opinion. He said that Juve knew I will bring in data with me because that's how I think. It's part of the way I run a club. The key to using data properly is alignment from the CEO downwards. So again, full agreement. At Toulouse, the mental state of every staff member was measured daily to understand whether there was stress or lack of motivation to come to work. We chose not to hire anyone who wasn't motivated. Now, I think that's every boss. Like, no boss is going to pay a guy who is watching Netflix 8 hours a day instead of doing his work, or comes to work, but he comes to work because he needs, like, we all have colleagues who just show up because they need to show up. But the way they're doing their job, you're like, you must actually hate this extremely. We all know these type of people. So it makes sense. I do not know how you use data to measure that, by the way. I have no idea you measure stress with data or motivation with data at a club, and that goes for everyone, the staff. I have no idea how he does that. I want to know. At this point, I want to know, because he has found a solution for every single boss on this planet. to measure motivation with data. Is that by results? But then again, the I don't know, like the chef at the club, what is the result? Not poisoning the players? Like what is there's no data, you know. But I don't blame him talking about it because he got asked about it over and over again. Then he said, speaking about on the field matters, at Toulouse, we banned crosses and long range shots. Now, you can use data. You can use data to see if you're good at taking crosses or long range shots. If you have 11 Chiellinis on that pitch, you're going to be bad at taking long range shots. If you have again 11 Chiellinis on that pitch, your crosses are going to be poor. So I agree, you can measure that, but I think that is purely based on the squad you have, and like I don't think you need to measure that. You can see if anyone can put in a cross, yes or no. I know nobody at the club can take a corner, like nobody. For some reason, I think Yildiz has a good technique, but he cannot take a corner. Like a lot of our players have a good technique, but some players cannot take a corner. Same for my Sunday League team.
Yeah.
Players technically are better than me, some, but they cannot take a corner. They just can't. For some reason, they're not capable. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And the player, you think, oh my God, he's poor on the ball. He takes the best corners for some reason. So yes, you can measure it, but to ban it, I don't know. What do you guys think? Kostic must be kicking himself right now.
Yeah, I think it cannot be like right now. Like we need data to see what's going on, and then we saw and use our eyes. To be honest, just use our eyes, and we saw how the long range shots are not the best right now. But yeah, banning it is silly. The coach can tell them to do less of long range shots and crosses, but banning it as a director of sport, I think that's or he was a CEO at Toulouse as well, right? At one point. So yeah, it's not his job. I think it's silly.
I think it's just an idea. I think it's a philosophy. I think it's a bit like we want to play like this way, so we measure this with data and we see like, okay, we need to ban these things and we want the ball to be on the ground all the time. We want to play like this. So I think this is why they use data and they want to see these things. Then again, like I don't think you can do that at Juve or like in general in a big club. It's a bit difficult. I think even Barcelona have changed a lot. So yeah, I think it's just an idea.
I do agree.
Yeah,
I do agree. Like it cannot be something that you should focus, like banning it, like you said. That cannot be the case. But again, if it's your playing style, then fine. But not just ban it, like, because this sounds like do never do it ever. Do not dare to put it across. Then he went on saying, you can understand players' personalities through data. For example, those who touch the ball a lot show personality, even though there is a fine line between wanting the ball and being selfish. At Toulouse, I told people working with me, if I stray from the club's culture, you must tell me. If I sign a player who goes against it, you must tell me. I agree with that last part. If you have rules, you should be following set rules. You cannot really go away from it. So I do agree with that. The other part is interesting because I also kind of agree with that to a certain extent, because there are players who want the ball, but like there are players who do not want the ball. They just don't. They're just out there hiding. You have players who want the ball but do absolutely nothing with that ball. And then you have the handful of players, and I think that's where I don't think you need data. You just see it. For example, I don't think Koopman is a player who wants that ball in midfield a lot. That's one. McKennie has the ball a lot, but does nothing with that ball. For example, Colt Miners, when he had the ball in the midfield, did something with that ball, but not for us, for the opponent most of the time. So I do agree. Data shows. Remember that first Saudi game? I think Pjanic had 130 touches or something like that. It was something insane, and I was like, at the time, I was like, And 2 years later, somebody brought up that stat, and I went to rewatch that game. I didn't count the touches, but a lot of these touches was him taking 4-5 touches before playing the ball. So that stat is wow. But a lot of the times he was just playing it from his right foot to his left foot, etc. And just playing it to a player besides him, receiving it back, doing it again. I mean, yeah, the data shows that, I guess, but your eye test needs to tell you that, well, he was not doing a lot with those touches. He was literally touching the ball, and that's it. But again, that's how they operate, and it is what it is, I guess. Now, the final part, which I want to discuss, is this one. And this was crazy. He said, I read and learn all the time. I never stop. I'm afraid of being overtaken by the industry, fearful of missing in innovation, and to fight that fear, I'm always studying. I'm like, you know what? Good guy. And then he was like, I never read about football. I was like, hold on. Like, you were fearful that the industry was going to overtake you. And now you're not reading about your own industry. He said, it's boring. I'm like, let me go back to the first quote. I was like, I'm afraid that I'm going to fall behind. I'm like, what? It's like, I read scientific articles about data, such as those on methodologies or injury recovery. I read books about leading people, about negotiation. I try to learn from other sports, not from football. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm not gonna lie. This is actually crazy. First off, you're the CEO, you shouldn't be reading about injury recovery. I guess, like, yeah, it needs to be top, but I think you need to hire people who are good at that, or can deal with that and know more about that. You're not gonna learn about injury recovery from reading articles or books. I'm sorry. You just need experience doing that. That's like me, I don't know, that's me reading a book about how to remove or do a heart transplantation and walking into the hospital, and I'm like, I read a book. Here we go. No, like that's not how it works. And then he's like, I try to learn from other sports. I'm like, no, football is football. Tennis is tennis. Rugby is it's completely different for so many reasons. I mean, this sounds crazy. Like, I'm not saying he's gonna fail because of that, but he's a weirdo. I'm sorry. he's a weirdo. It's all weird. I don't know what you guys think, but again, that last quote was literally the last quote of the interview, by the way. And I was like, good thing the interview is over with.
Yeah, I don't. Can it be that he meant something else? I don't know. Like,
No, we meant this because somebody sent me a quote from him, was at Fenerbahce, and he was saying the same things, that he reads and that he's very interested in other sports more so than football. I'm like, how are you getting jobs? Like, how are you getting jobs? It's like, going into a bakery for a job, and you're like, actually, I like to work with meat. I wanted to be a butcher. What? But you guys, what do you think?
I don't know. It's super weird. If you would have said that, okay, not just from football, I like to learn from other sports as well, not just from football, but he said from other sports, not from football, and that's I don't know. That's interesting, because football is football, and there's a saying in Hungarian that football is football, and anything else is bullshit. And it's kind of true, because it's the biggest sports, especially in Europe. And usually anyone else is learning from football, not the other way around. And I don't know, it's I don't know, it's disturbing. It's disturbing for sure.
I know Spiros agrees with it, but I'm not sure why.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I think it's a philosophy here. I think it's an idea. I think he wants to do his thing. I don't think, and I think he doesn't want to like replicate things from other football clubs. I think he wants to do his thing and be like a model and be like, we work like this, and this is how we work, and we get results, for example. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think he's thinking like that when he's managing this football club. To be honest, because I think it's too much in my opinion. But for sure, I think he's interested to learn new things, and the things I think he said about injuries and this stuff. I think he just wants to hire people. I think he wants to understand and communicate with them and see how we're gonna, for example, improve this, and how we're gonna like improve the situation and get the results we want. For example, we want less injuries. We want more more physicality. We want this, we want that. So I think that's what he probably means. But I think he got a bit too far.
I think that was crazy. That was CEO of one of the biggest clubs in the world, and it's like, actually, I don't read about football, etc. I read about cricket to improve one of the biggest clubs in the world. Crazy, but I don't know. Probably or we are the issue. We don't get it. I watch football. I'm not gonna read about cricket to understand football. That's just me. Like, getting to know the rules of cricket or how they recover is not gonna make me any more knowledgeable about this club, or about this sport. But who knows? Who knows? He
He's
might
basically Allegri as a CEO.
kinda, or maybe he talks like a Laker, and he's actually having some fun, but he is very serious when he talks about data, etc. That's like his baby. Yeah, nothing more
Yeah,
to
but
say on that.
I think the problem is like, okay, there's no problem like in data, but I think he needs to be like, okay, does the data get me the results? You know what I mean? I think that's the
That's it.
waste.
Needs to be resolved.
Because I can like many things, but they need to work. Because right now he's at the biggest club in the world. For example, let's say
I agree.
5 biggest clubs in the world. He needs like, okay, if I'm gonna use data, it needs to work. Like it really needs to work, because otherwise I'm losing my job, and it's going to be probably a disaster as well.
I agree.
So. And
anyways,
I think
guys,
it's easier for
the thing I said offline I need to do now, so I need to wrap it up. I'm sorry. People, I need to leave right now, so apologies for that. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining. Spiros and Norbert, thanks for coming on. We will be back live next week building up to Fiorentina. Apologies. Ciao.